forested national parks, idyllic seaside towns, and remote country roads all have their charms. But when it comes to global travel, there's just something especially magical and inspiring about a beautiful and bustling city. But with so many pretty metropolises around the world, where to begin? Offering endless cultural adventures of the historical, culinary, and entertainment varieties and beyond, as well as spectacular sights and skylines. These cities are must-adds to your travel bucket list. Admittedly, the list of breathtaking cities goes on, and it's impossible to capture their spirits in just one image. But we went ahead and highlighted 10 of the most beautiful cities in the world to give you a starting place as you plan your globe-trotting tour, or just to satisfy your wanderlust virtually. For now, fairy tale vibes await you. Hong Kong, China. Hong Kong, officially the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China, is a city and special administrative region of China on the Eastern Pearl River Delta in South China. Did you know that Chinese and English are the official languages? Hong Kong's official languages are Chinese, Cantonese, and English. For writing, traditional Chinese is used instead of simplified Chinese that is widespread on mainland China. Did you also know Hong Kong has more Rolls-Royce per person than any other city in the world? This is due to Hong Kong's legacy as a former British colony, and many of the status-conscious British, elite businessmen, and officers prefer to cruise around in extravagance, so they would import Rolls-Royces. This has given Hong Kong the most Rolls-Royce per capita. Did you know Hong Kong has a population of 7.5 million? Meanwhile, Hong Kong is about 6 times the size of Washington, D.C. in the U.S., 3.5 times bigger than Malta, and about half the size of Mauritius. Havana. Havana is Cuba's capital city. Spanish colonial architecture and its 16th century old Havana core includes the Castillo de la Raza, a port and marine museum. The National Capitol building is an iconic 1920s landmark. Also in Old Havana is the Barco Cathedral, the San Cristobal, and Plaza Vieja, whose buildings reflect the city's vibrant architectural mix. Did you know that Havana is more than 500 years old? Havana was founded by the Spanish in November 1519 along the natural habar of the Bay of Havana. The Spanish would stop here whenever they traveled between the New World and the Old World. Also, the French army burnt the city, but the Spanish rebuilt it. In 1555, Old Havana was destroyed by Frenchmen known as Corsair Jacques de Sordes. He had taken over the city by overpowering the defenders. Jacques destroyed the city and burnt it down to the ground. He, unfortunately, did not get any treasures he hoped he would get before plundering. He was overpowered and thrown away. The Spanish army was brought in to rebuild the city walls and protect them. Construction of Castillo de la Raza began in 1558. This was the first fortress built and was supervised by engineer Bartolome Sanchez. Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a city in Western Asia, situated on a plateau in the Judean Mountains between the Mediterranean and the Dead Sea. It is one of the oldest cities in the world and is considered holy for the 3 major Abrahamic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Did you know that the city of Jerusalem is Israel's largest city? The city of Jerusalem is the largest city in Israel, its capital. It covers nearly 50 square square miles and is a major cultural center with over 70 institutions teaching the arts. Jerusalem's inhabitants number at least 801,000 people. The city of Jerusalem has more than 1,500 public parks and gardens. Some of the olive trees in Jerusalem are more than 800 years old. The city of Jerusalem's Mount of Olives is the oldest active burial site in the world. Some of the greatest Jewish leaders, prophets, and rabbis have been buried on Mount Olives. This makes it the largest and most important Jewish cemetery in the world. Also, did you know the city of Jerusalem has at least 60 museums? The city of Jerusalem boasts more than 60 museums. That sounds like a whole month's plan, should you be a visitor there. There are art museums, science museums, history museums, and many others. Paris. Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It is known worldwide for the Louvre Museum, Notre Dame Cathedral, and the Eiffel Tower. It has a reputation of being romantic and a cultural city. The city is also known for its high-quality gastronomy and the terraces of its cafes. Did you know the Louvre is the world's largest art gallery and museum? It has over 38,000 pieces of art within its walls, including the most famous painting ever, Mona Lisa. Also, the famous Bloody Mary cocktail was invented in Paris at the Ritz Hotel. Did you know that Parisians declined Tom Cruise's request for becoming an honorary citizen? The government of Paris passed a resolution to prohibit Tom Cruise from becoming an honorary citizen of the city. Did you also know about the Paris syndrome? One of the weirdest facts about Paris. This condition is most frequent among Japanese visitors. The Japanese media often describes Paris as the most romantic destination in the world and place model-looking people all dressed up on the streets of Paris, which gives Japanese a slightly wrong perception of Paris. So, usually, when they arrive, they're super disappointed because the city can't live up to its unrealistic expectations. Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is located on the Atlantic Ocean in the southeastern part of the tropical zone of South America and is widely recognized as one of the world's most beautiful and interesting urban centers. Although Rio de Janeiro continues to be the preeminent icon of Brazil in the eyes of many in the world, in reality, its location, architecture, inhabitants, and lifestyle make it highly unique when compared with other Brazilian cities, especially the country's capital of Brasilia, or the much larger city of Sao Paulo. The former is a much smaller city dating back only to the 1960s, while the latter is a huge, sprawling commercial and manufacturing center with none of Rio's spectacular natural beauty or captivating charm. Unlike Rio, both are located on flat interior plateaus. Did you know Rio de Janeiro was named after a river that didn't exist? This is the #1 fun fact about Rio de Janeiro, and also the first question I was asked while I was traveling in Rio with some American friends. And I think it is a great question with an even better answer. Rio de Janeiro means January River. The fun fact is that it was named by mistake. The explorer Gaspar de Lemos set sail from Portugal in 1501 and arrived at a huge bay in Brazil the following January. Thinking the bay was the mouth of a river, he named it after the month. Rio de Janeiro was once the capital of Brazil. This is a great educational fact about Rio de Janeiro, as some mistakenly think Rio is Brazil's capital, but that honor actually belongs to Brasilia. It hadn't always been that way. Between 1763 and 1960, Rio was the top dog. Many still consider it the beating heart of Brazil. Christ the Redeemer gets struck by lightning every year. The statue is also electric, owning to its lofty location. Rio's iconic Christ the Redeemer statue is frequently struck by lightning. What was that about never striking twice in the same place? Most incidents passed without drama. But in 2014, the effigy lost a thumb during a storm. The explanation for the frequency of lightning in the city is the combination of mountains and a great concentration of water, which attracts the electric discharges. The monument is struck by, on average, 2 to 4 rays per year, according to the Brazilian Institute of Space Research. Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik is a city in southern Croatia, fronting the Adriatic Sea. It's known for its distinctive old town, encircled with massive stone walls completed in the 16th century. Its well-preserved buildings range from Port St. Blaise Church to Renaissance Spanza Palace and Gothic Rector's Place, now a history museum. Paved with limestone, the pedestrianized stratum, or placa, is lined with shops and restaurants. Don't mess with perfection. The old town was finished being built in the 13th century. And guess what? It remains almost completely unchanged today. Nobody touches Dubrovnik. Nobody even thinks about it. When will we finally be equal? Unfortunately, Jews were persecuted in Dubrovnik, especially when the economy plummeted in the middle of the 18th century and Jews were forbidden from engaging in any type of commerce. They were also confined to the ghetto. Jews didn't obtain legal equality until 1808, but it was withdrawn in 1814. They were then finally and permanently granted legal equality under Croatan law in the 19th century. The arsenal today, fine dining, is no longer used to build ships. Instead, it is used as a restaurant set to the theme of an ancient shipyard. Everything is made out of carved wood. There are ropes and pulleys, and several tables are enclosed in ship skeletons. They probably don't brick walls built around the kitchen when they're inventing new recipes, but who knows? Cape Town. Cape Town is a port city on South Africa's southwest coast, on a peninsula beneath the imposing Table Mountain. Slowly rotating cable cars climb to the mountain's flat top, from which there are sweeping views of the city. The busy harbor and boats heading for Robben Island, the notorious prison that once held Nelson Mandela, which is now a living museum. Did you know 2 couples get hitched on Table Mountain every month? Our precious flat-top mountain began performing around 280 million years ago, and today it's still evolving. The cableway, on the other hand, was erected in 1929 and was originally constructed from wood and steel. Sounds pretty dangerous to us, but there have been no accidents on it as of yet. Wowzers. And did we mention that the Table Mountain National Park, which spans an area of 22,000 hectares, boasts more plant species than the British Isles of New Zealand. The mother city is host to the mother of all queer parties. Cape Town is home to the largest dress-to-theme costume party in South Africa, the Mother City Queer Project, MCQP, which also happens to be one of the biggest lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ annual events on the African continent. Istanbul. Istanbul is a major city in Turkey that straddles Europe and Asia across the Bosphorus Strait. Its old city reflects cultural influences of the many empires that once ruled here. In the Sultanate district, the open-air Roman-era hippodrome was for centuries the site of chariot races. An Egyptian obelisk also remained. The iconic Byzantine Hagia Sophia features a soaring 6th century dome and rare Christian mosaic. Did you know Istanbul is located both in Europe and Asia? Istanbul is the only city in the world that straddles 2 continents. Geographically, it is in both Europe and Asia. Did you know Istanbul is one of the world's most populated cities? Since the 1950s, the population of Istanbul has grown significantly. In 1950, the city's population was almost 970,000. Today, the population of Istanbul is 15,636,000. New York City. New York City comprises 5 boroughs sitting where the Hudson River meets the Atlantic Ocean. At its core in Manhattan, a densely populated borough that's among the world's major commercial, financial, and cultural centers. Its iconic sites include skyscrapers such as the Empire State Building and sprawling Central Park. Broadway theater is staged in neon-lit Times Square. Yes, these New York facts are starting right at the beginning. Did you know that New York was at first not New York at all? The original name was New Amsterdam, as Dutch settlers were the first to arrive in the area around 1624. But in 1664, the English took over and renamed the city in the Duke of York's honor. Did you know New York is the birthplace of LGBTQ rights in the USA? In 1969, the police raided a bar called Stonewall in New York's Greenwich Village. It was a safe haven for people in the LGBT community, and instead of submitting, they fought back. The event spurred riots and a worldwide movement that makes New York one of the friendliest queer cities to this day. Did you also know that Grand Central Terminal has a whispering gallery? We've been there, and it's true. In the domed walkways of New York's famous Grand Central Terminal, there is an unbelievable architectural marvel at play. If one person stands in one corner of the tiled wall and another stands on the opposite side, they can whisper to each other, and the other person will be able to hear. Rome. Rome is the capital city of Italy. It is also the capital of the Lazio region, the center of the metropolitan city of Rome, and a special commune named Comune di Roma Capitale. Did you know the Romans loved water? Over 2,000 years ago, the Romans started making their water supply a primary priority. They brought it into the city via aqueducts and canals, setting up fountains all over the city. Many of these still stand today, and the city boasts over 2,000 functional fountains, more than any other place on earth. Did you know it took 150 years to build St. Peter's Basilica? You'll find this magnificent building in the state of the Vatican City, a country within the city of Rome. St. Peter's Basilica occupies St. Peter the Apostle's original burial site and deserves a place on every Rome itinerary. Julius II laid the first stone of the basilica in 1506, and Bernini completed the electrical piazza leading up to the building in 1667. Did you know all roads did lead to Rome? The Romans built a road network of over 53,000 miles as early as the 4th century. This network of highways played a vital role in the history of Rome, helping them outpace and outmaneuver their enemies as they traveled across Europe, conquering everything in sight. Every time the Romans added another town to their empire, they linked it to Rome, establishing a solid supply network between the conqueror and the conquered. The Romans maintained and protected these roads well, ensuring them speedy, secure access to anywhere in their empire. You can visit one of the most famous Roman roads, the Appian Way, during your trip to Rome. If you enjoyed learning about the top 10 most beautiful cities in the world, then don't forget to subscribe on your way out and comment down below which city you found more beautiful. Enjoy!